Hey folks, we're back with another episode of Three Men and an Anime. Huzzah!
Hooray!
Hello.
Hey. So, this is Peter Bowman, and as always, I'm joined by my friends and co-hosts, Eric Carlson and Gav Leaf. How are you guys doing tonight?
I am fine.
Existence is pain. Never order a PC.
I mean, these are true.
I'm having personal struggles on that front right now because some fucking clown at the place I ordered decided to send my case. All the parts have arrived, but apparently decided to put my case on the delivery pallet without a fucking delivery label on it. So now it's at some fucking warehouse at the delivery company, going around the system to be sent back to the sender before they then send it back to me.
I'm sorry, dude. At least their naked hunchbacks don't cost as much as a fucking Terminator. I'm done.
Yes.
It's good to know that we can rant about things that are actually not that important.
Yes.
At any rate,
It's my entire life.
yeah, Gav's a little more important than Eric's. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, no, I mean the models too. You haven't seen my room.
Fair point.
Actually, remember what was the name from Gridman?
Oh,
Akane?
Akane,
Yeah. Models on the walls, trash on the floor. That's my room. You think I'm kidding?
I feel personally attacked right now.
Anyways, we are going into covering the Ancient Magus Bride, which is Eric's most recent series selection.
Yay!
It's a fairy tale. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I had my doubts. I remember the last time that Eric picked something that looked anything vaguely like a magical girl show, and I was like,
Well, this isn't a magical. I mean, there's a girl who has magic, but it's not a magical girl show.
Yeah, she doesn't transform or have a bunny cat.
She does kind of transform once, and she does have an Irish wolfhound.
Well, that's an Irish wolfhound, not a bunny cat. Very different. Much more trustworthy.
Oh, lordy, yes. Because fuck bunny cat.
I mean, to be fair, we're dealing with the fucking Fae.
Yes.
And every single one of them is more trustworthy than fucking bunny cat.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yes. We're going to try not to do a full plot recap because, God, we're terrible about doing that. We try not to do it, and we keep doing it. We managed to avoid it for the past few episodes.
Yes. Yeah, we want these like reviews to be relatively concise and leaving you with a reason to go and watch the show.
Yeah. Beyond, dear God, that's pretty. Which is something we'll be saying about this show a fair bit, I think.
Yeah.
Studio Wit knocked it out of the fucking park on this show. Let's just get that out right now. Holy fucking crap.
Fucking gorgeous.
Also, serious kudos to the original artist. And, the original artist and author, the mangaka, Kori Yamazaki. Oh my God, they did it. Fuck, it's...
Character designs are one of my favorite things about this show.
Yeah.
Just going to put that out there.
I did take a chance to take a look at some pages from the original manga, and it's pretty. Yamazaki-san is good. At any rate, so yeah, Ancient Magus Bride. Eric, why don't you give us a basic concept for the show?
All right, so take a collection of Neil Gaiman short stories and then throw them at Miyazaki and have him turn them into a 24-episode series. That's the show.
He's not wrong.
Okay. There's one thing I've actually been thinking about doing that we don't often do, and there's on the wiki they usually have the blurb from the back of the box, so to speak. So if you were walking around it like in a DVD store, some ancient relic of the past that doesn't exist anymore, and you'd picked up the physical copy, again, an ancient relic of the past that doesn't exist anymore. And on the back, there's usually a brief description of the show, and I sometimes quite like them because they're good hooks. And if you listen, I'm going to read this one now.
Okay.
And if you listen to this and you think, hey, that sounds interesting, pause this, bookmark it for later, and come back when you've watched it. So, the story of Hattori Chise is who's only 15, but she has lost far more than most. With neither family nor hope, it seems all doors are closed to her, but a chance encounter began to turn the rusted wheels of fate. In her darkest hour, a mysterious Magus appears before Chisei, offering a chance she couldn't turn down. This Magus, who seems closer to demon than human, will he bring her the light she desperately seeks or drown her even deeper in shadow?
Dude, I think I've seen this hentai.
That is simultaneously accurate and tells you almost nothing about the show. That is brilliant, Gav.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is the thing about the synopsis. A well-written one will give you all the it tells you exactly what the show is about while telling you absolutely nothing.
All right. So before we get too deep into this, and if you want to avoid any spoilers, we'll try not to be too spoilerific, but just in case, if you want to know what we think about the show and whether you should watch that, yes.
If it's not been obvious already, yes.
Go watch this. This is a really awesome show.
Very quick thing. We all thought it's well written. We all like the characters. We like the art. We like how well animated it is, and we love the soundtrack.
Pretty much, yes.
I mean,
like normally with a show, but we'll get to the end of this, and I'll say, well, I had like one little problem or one thing that irks me throughout it. Not in this. There was nothing.
Yeah. There's one minor niggle, but it's not a real niggle. It's. We'll get to that, and as I said. But long story short, like I recommend this show enthusiastically. It's really good.
I forget who said it, but things feel so much better if you just add 5 to everyone's ages.
Yes, there's that. Yes,
maybe, yeah. There is that one.
Because I'm gonna tell you, like, Tuesday might be like old beyond her years, but she very much just feels like more
everyone feels like a very old soul.
Yeah. How the fucking 10-year-old you meet makes much more sense if she's 15.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she said makes more sense. She's like 2021. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
She's 15. /16, depending on where in the show you are. Yeah. So there are 4 main characters. There are 3 main characters and one very important sort of a supplementary character who has very little dialogue. Our main characters are Chisei, Elias, and Ruth. Elias is said Magus. Chisei is his
we'll get to
apprentice.
That.
We'll call her apprentice.
We'll start with apprentice because that is one thing she actually is. Yes.
Yes.
Their relationship is interesting, and Ruth is Chisei's familiar. Becomes Chisei's familiar. Elias is the skull-headed gentleman in the title card there. Elias is a Magus. He is also very much not human. He's also not. He is of the Fae, but he is not a fairy. He is something different and is never fully explained what he is.
I don't think anyone really knows, honestly. He's constantly referred to as half-born or half-baked.
I think the Fae have an idea of what he is, but they don't. They're not in the habit of revealing secrets to anyone.
They're fairies. Of course, they're not.
There are 2 people in the show I think might know what he is, and Titania and Oberon are not going to tell anyone anything. By the way, Titania.
Well, they'll tell you everything, but it'll all be lies. The truth, but also lies.
They will speak not a falsehood, but they will be lying.
Yeah. Also, if you do have any knowledge of, I would say it's mostly not British, but
Celtic.
The Celtic mythology. This is going to be right up your street.
Oh God, yes.
Oh yeah.
It is mostly Celtic. There's a very small smattering of some Norse stuff, and then a little bit scattered from here and there, and from the Bible.
Yeah.
One of the very important characters in the show is very much a biblical character.
And an asshole.
Yes.
Well, it's from the Old Testament, so
Technically, no.
No. He's New Testament.
Oh, of course he is. Yeah. Yeah.
I was gonna say,
It's 1 a.m. Shush.
Fair. So Chise is a 15-year-old girl who, let's just say she is not in the best places mentally.
Let's come right out and say it. Chise sees things. She sees monsters and spirits and ghosts and all sorts of weirdness.
She doesn't just see them. They
and that she sees them because, well, they're real, and she's one of the few people on Earth that can see them.
And not not just see them. Like she's regularly been attacked by them, like physically, in a lot of cases. And she's had a pretty traumatic childhood because it's not just her that could see them. Her entire family.
Well, what little we see of her family.
What little we see of them, basically. It's a little bit spoilery, this jumping forward a little bit, but we get made aware later on that basically her entire family are aware of the magical side of reality. And they want nothing to do with it, basically, but unfortunately the magic side of reality wants something to do with them.
Well, I think the important thing to mention here is that Chise is pretty much an orphan. We don't know what happened to her dad other than he left. And her mother strangles her right before committing suicide, and she spends from, like, I get the impression that, like, the age of, like, 7 or 8 on being bounced around, like, extended family and the foster care system.
By the time we meet, she has given up. She doesn't speak. Yeah. She doesn't care. She's just quiet, sullen, keeps to herself.
I mean, the long and short of it is, the beginning of the show, she has been talked out of jumping off of a building into selling herself at an auction.
Yeah.
Because that's a better plan. It turns out that is actually true, but it really shouldn't be. Well, actually, no, they're both horrible, awful, terrible options.
They're both horrible options, but one of them just happened to work out.
Yes.
The main reason for that is because of what Chise is, that she wasn't aware of to begin with. But basically, this auction is not. When we say auction, we don't just mean the slave trade.
No.
Kind of yes, but also no.
Yes.
It's an underground secret auction of the magical world. There's a lot of Harry Potter in this, basically.
Harry Potter, Harry Dresden. Pick your modern fantasy.
It's a secret world underneath the real one, But like,
it's classic urban fantasy in that way.
Yes, yeah. It's like this is the auction house where dragon eggs get sold, and sometimes dragons, and all that kind of stuff. And Chise is put up for auction or convinced to sell herself at auction because she is, unbeknownst to her, has a bit of a magical influence of her own. Which is why she
just a little bit.
Just a little bit. A little bit.
Well, Chise is what the show calls a slay beggy. Which means she's got a whole lot of magical potential and is probably going to burn out soon. But holy crap, does she have a lot of magical potential and is incredibly rare.
They're very rare, and they tend to have a very good affinity with the Fae.
It's so much so that, like, if you consider, like, every person generates their own magic, or at least has an ability with magic. If you compare, like, a normal mage to a car battery, she's a power plant. In that she
shielding and no one watching the reactor.
Exactly. So, like, but she doesn't only generate an incredible amount. She can also absorb magical energy from around her as well. So she's and the human body is just not designed to deal with that shit.
On top of that, she is a sickly 15-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Her parents, we get
frail
her parents.
Girl, I should say.
Her parents always refer to her as she's got a frail body, or she's quite frail. But yeah, this is why the creatures of magic used to attack her, because they wanted to have a taste of her, because that's why the Fae like her. They eat magic, and she tastes good.
And that sort of ties into sort of how people sort of tend to do magic is for a lot of people, for most mages, most of their magic involves bargaining with the Fae and convincing a fairy or a spirit of some sort to help them create some sort of effect. Because you're bending reality, and humans really can't. Like, even magically talented humans can't do that. Part of a large part of magical talent is being able to see and interact with spirits, basically.
Yeah, there's no I cast fireball bullshit in this show.
No, there is. Hey, fire fairy, help me cast a fireball. The fire fairy goes, "Can I have some of your magic?" And you say yes, and they go, "Cool," and then boom.
Yeah, if you're after like magical duels, that isn't this show.
I mean, there are magical duels, kinda.
Yeah.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah. This is not Sakuga. Well, it is, but not for that.
The whole show.
It's not action Sakuga. It's not that kind of shit. There is some bits of it, but I'm like, oh my god. But it's not, beam struggles and bullshit like that.
No. But yeah, so Elias shows up in disguise, because he can do that, and buys Chisei, because holy crap, she's a slave beggy, and he's got ideas.
And he's very old and therefore very rich.
Yes.
Like, to the point where he walks in the room and everyone shuts the fuck up.
Yeah. They're all like, wait, what is he doing here?
Yeah, because everyone's interested in this. Everyone wants this for various reasons, which you kind of come to realize that if she'd have been bought by some of these people, probably wouldn't have turned out well for her.
No.
But then Ainsworth Elias walks in and just swings his checkbook on the fucking table, and it's like, boom.
Yeah, he drops £5 million.
Yeah.
Thunk.
And they're all like, well, fuck. Fine, I'll just buy a unicorn, I suppose.
That's probably less rare. Turns out. At any rate, so Elias wants Chisei for a few reasons. One, he's come to the conclusion that he doesn't understand humanity. He doesn't. And, he would like to have someone he can sort of study and see if he can figure out something about humanity from. Secondly, he's always, a lot of other mages have most other magus have apprentices, and has had apprentices, and it's like, maybe I should have an apprentice and teach someone things.
He doesn't know why he should, just that other people have them. He's like, oh, okay, I'll give it a go.
Teaching someone else something about magic, that sounds interesting. 3, he's had an idea of how to possibly stop a slave begging from burning out super young. We don't know what that is. 4, well, he's decided he wants a bride for... I'm not sure he knows what that means at the outset.
It's the same reason about an apprentice. He's heard it's the thing that people do.
Yes.
Yeah, it's I'm just gonna come right out and say it. Like, Elias Ainsworth might be very old and very powerful, but in a lot of ways, he's a little kid.
Oh yeah.
Oh, really is.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, throughout his entire history, we realize that he doesn't really know anything. He just learns as he goes.
Yep. And he picks up things very quickly.
Oh yeah, he's a quick study, but if he comes up with something new, he doesn't understand. He does things that are absolutely like, no, you don't do that. He's like, why?
Well, that's the other thing, is he's very slow to act in general also. Basically, unless there's like actual sort of something in it for him, he rarely will do anything. And even then, he has a lot of inertia to him.
It's like, the thing is, when people come to him for help, it's like they'll ask why. They'll say, well, I can't offer you anything. I'm not bothered then. And they're like, everyone looks at him like, what? It's the right thing to do. And then you remember, he's part Fae.
Yeah. I think he's actually constitutionally incapable of doing something without being offered something.
Yeah.
With the exception of Chisei, pretty much.
I mean, there's one thing. Well, I mean, I think the thing with Chisei is that he's already accepted the bargain with her.
Yes.
Because she's staying with him.
Yep.
Well, I think it comes down to the whole, like, noblesse oblige and like hospitality and all that shit that Faye in the stories are always really big on.
Yep.
She's his responsibility. Therefore, everything that happens to her is his responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, he will act regardless of the consequences.
Yep.
But it's like there's one little scene we get like later on with a young pair of children, and Chisei's the one that's organizing and like speaking to this kid, and she's this one young girl's like, "Can you find my brother?" And Chisei's like, "Yeah, sure, of course we'll help." What? And then like Elias appears at the side and he says, "Okay, what are you offering payment?" Like almost instinctual with him. And she's like, "What? I don't have money. I mean, I can give you some sweets. Okay." It's like it doesn't have to be anything important. It's just like, okay, I want something in return. Cool.
Yeah, Chisei does. It never even got to the point where Chisei sort of accepting. She's asked what the problem was, what they want, and then Elias says, "And what do you offer in payment?"
Yeah.
And you get the impression Chisei is not like Chisei gets that that's actually important.
Yeah.
For Elias.
Well, at this point in the story, she's dealt with enough fairies to know the story.
Yes. Chisei is a large chunk of the story is Chisei honestly basically finally getting to the part where she can actually accept that she is worth something as a person.
That is the thing. That is the gist of this story. It is all about Chisei coming to terms with her own self-worth.
Yeah, and again, not as a as something that someone desires or that she's a slave beggar. It's that she is a person who should exist. That she deserves existence at all. Like, it's not light stuff, a lot of it, but like it's handled very well.
Yeah, I mean the whole like episode 1. I mean the whole thing about her mom trying to kill her. It's literally her mum with her hands around her throat saying, "I wish I'd never given birth to you." And that is repeated over and over. And that is the mindset that Chisei takes into this show. Before her mom just like realizes what she's doing, stops and throws herself over a balcony.
Yeah.
That's episode 1.
Yeah.
Well, that's the I'm gonna say there's a 3-part OVA before the show actually starts.
Yes.
It really helps you get to understand where Chisei is coming from.
Yes.
And sets up the world very nicely.
Yeah, it is. Let me get the name of it here quickly.
It also fits in.
Those Awaiting a Star. It's a 3-part OVA, as Eric mentioned. It is exceptionally good and is very much worth watching before you watch the main show.
Yes.
It also fits into the main show really well.
Like, you can spot exactly when it happens.
Yeah, we're watching the episodes. It's like, oh, that's where that was. Yeah. But it doesn't.
Literally, there's a moment where it's like, okay, this is what happens here. Ashburner in the chat actually brings up a very good point. No, you're supposed to be traumatized after you meet the Fae, not before.
if anything, meeting the Fae is what King helps Chisei.
Yes.
Honestly, the thing that helps her most are the dragons. Honestly.
Yes.
Yeah. She beats dragons. It's a really good series of episodes.
Oh my god, it's so good.
No.
I mean, all of these episodes are really good, but dragons are involved.
The dragons are great. I love the dragons. They're so cool. They're really, really an interesting take on dragons. I love them. Oh my god. Nevin is the dragon in the dragon that is most crucial to Chisei beginning the healing process is Nevin. He's an ancient dragon who's dying. And oh my god, the bit in the episode between the two of them is melancholy and sweet and stunning.
Yes.
It's simultaneously though. It also goes to show. It's relatively early in the series, so it's a really good episode to show that what Chisei can do. Her inner abilities. It's like Nevin's dying. He's a type of dragon that basically, as they age, they turn to stone, and eventually, like a tree sprouts out of them, and they become a permanent fixture. That's their life cycle.
Yep.
And he's got to that point now where he basically can't move. He's waiting for the end and to sprout. And Chisei actually, she sits and has a conversation with him, and because of her status, this slay beggy thing, she puts her hand on him, and basically he's able to absorb enough of her magic to connect this kind of like a mental link, and he gets to relive his youth. You know, when his wings hadn't already.
He gets to have one last flight, basically.
Yeah, but takes her with him in his mind, and she gets to experience flight. And they have this moment where she's still questioning who she is and her worth. It's like I said, it's relatively early, and Nevin's just like got this like centuries of experience. And he's like, kid, you have to open your eyes and see what's around you.
And
yeah.
The best part about that is the bond that they form echoes throughout the rest of the series, and he sort of becomes sort of a part of her own mentality, the part of her that actually remembers that she has worth. It's really cool.
He makes a request of her at the end, just before he passes, and he asks and says, "Look, when I sprout into a tree, I want you to come back, take one of my branches, and use that to make your wand, because all makers get a wand." And she agrees, and that also strengthens that bond between them.
Yep, it's really cool.
There's a lot in this show that is just really good and stands on its own as an individual episode really well.
Yes.
The series is actually very episodic, but
there's an overarching plot and story, but like there are a lot of like 1 to 3 episode like mini arcs within it, all of which stand on their own exceedingly well.
But it's like the whole show is about the interplay and the connection to other people and your worth within that social construct. Like Elias is this immensely powerful creature. We find out pretty quickly he's not one to be fucked with.
No.
But there are people, some regular humans that we know and have met, that have absolutely no problem giving him an earful of shit if he deserves it.
Yeah.
And who he will actually recoil from if he knows they're pissed with him.
Yeah. I mean, the other
there's
Angelica.
Simon the Priest.
Angelica for a start. Yeah.
Well, Angelica's a mage.
Yeah, she's another mage.
She is a mage, but she's not on his level.
We don't know that. We don't know actually what she is. She is also quite old from what we can read, from what we're able to read between the lines.
Yeah.
And I don't know in terms of raw magical power she's on his footing, but she has knowledge. And boy, oh boy, does she have force of personality.
Yeah. She's also awesome.
Yes, she is.
Yes.
Well, a lot of characters are awesome. But but seeing Chisei forming these bonds with people, the other very important character we mentioned briefly, in terms of is the third person of the trio, Ruth. Chisei's familiar, it's a church grim.
Yeah.
It's a hound that protects graveyards basically. And you find out Ruth's background, although he wasn't called Ruth originally. That's his new name as Chisei's familiar. He can transform into he can
take human form.
Yeah, he can take human form. He's this young man. They very much have a brother-sister relationship from that point forward. He is her. There are times where it's very much he's her older brother. There are times when she is very much his older big sister. It changes. And it's similar to a lot of ways. Elias and Chisei's relationship is father-daughter for chunks of it, and then mother-son for chunks of it.
Yeah.
Because they very much. When I mentioned that it is the main arc of the story is about Chisei reclaiming her humanity and finding her own worth. A large chunk of it is also Elias actually finding his soul, basically.
Yes.
Well, it's kind of like I throughout the show, like a lot of the ways that the characters interact, I liken it to a spirit level.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're trying to hit that balance in the middle, but for especially with Elias and Chisei, like coming in, like it's he's the master, she's the apprentice, and then whenever they're talking about humanity and how the roles switch, and they never quite meet that balance until right at the end.
Yep.
And that's basically the point of it. But yeah, there's so often where like one just doesn't get one side of the other person's world, and like you've said yourself, there's the whole the mother son father daughter kind of dynamic going on there.
Yeah. But it's really interesting seeing Elias like having these feelings he's not had before and not knowing what they are, but knowing this is a human emotion. I don't know what Chisei, what the hell is this one? Please tell me. Except, in the much more formal and sort of, befuddled ancient way that he has.
Yeah. So I really like Elias. He's at once just like eldritch and wise and terrifying, and at the same time just like this like little kid learning new things and trying not to seem really excited about it, even though he is.
Yep.
The fucking chibi face they use for him every now and again.
Yes.
Whenever he gets told off or something just doesn't click from the human side of things, they use a really like simplified fucking chibi face for him. It's absolutely brilliant.
It's fantastic.
It's adorable.
But like at the same time, because of his fey nature, he's in some cases this force of nature. He at times loses complete control, and it's not even about him understanding humanity; it's even remembering humanity at some points.
Yep.
Well, it basically any time Chisei is always the trigger for those things.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always either she's in danger, or she's done something that fires off something on the wrong cylinder in him.
Yeah. He doesn't handle anger or jealousy or anything like that. Any negative emotion, basically. But he doesn't often have trouble with them. He doesn't have to. Yeah,
he has trouble with all emotions because he's not used to really having them.
Mm-hmm.
It's very he goes through the course of Chisei. Chisei is this thing that he has purchased and wants to protect and
this is my property. I will not let harm come to it.
This is the woman that I love.
Yes, very much like I love this person and I will protect them. Yeah.
Yes.
Like, to the point where at the end he goes not to spoil it, but he goes into his bestial mode, which he has, and he's like he comes into almost direct conflict with Oberon and Titania, the king and queen of the Fey world.
Yep.
And they're like, "Look, calm down." Titania restrains him, and he starts breaking the restraints. And he's like, they're like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!"
But the interesting thing, he doesn't start breaking the restraints until he actually does calm down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At which point he just starts very carefully, clipping through the restraints as he's explaining that no, I'm not taking your deal because that would not be right for me, either me or Chisei.
Right.
And Titania's like, well, I'll help you anyways because you're effectively you're effectively one of my children. And Oberon's like, yeah, okay. It's and their bodyguard Spriggan's like, but no.
I will say this: like this show has so many like just little like brief things that are just like, if you know what's going on, you're like, ooh, ooh, ooh. And if you don't, you go, what the fuck is going on? I'm almost certain that's real. I'm going to look it up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, I had this discussion with Peter at one point, saying that like it's a lot easier to get connected to a show if it has some roots in actual, I won't say history or reality, but at least known mythology. Like you can watch a fantasy, like a high fantasy show that tries to spin this entire world, and unless you're going onto levels of fucking Tolkien with its own encyclopedia to explain everything.
What, you mean Silmarillion?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It's difficult to get connected to it because it's all just made up stuff. And I mean, so his mythology in well. Supposedly.
But it's there. The big thing is that it's been around longer, and there's
it's
stuff
ingrained into you because you've seen so many stories based on this. You know, like there's one scene where like they're walking through the forest it's a Christmas episode, but it's pagan Christmas, so of course it is. And they're walking through the forest, and the big dude centaur shows up, and I'm like, wait, is that Kurnoth?
Yeah, that was actually exactly the moment I was thinking of when I described yes.
Yeah, there's this the stag centaur with a pregnant bride riding on his back, with dark-haired pregnant bride riding his back goes past, and there's this palpable sense of dread, and Elias hides.
Yeah,
because it's Kurnoth, the Wild Hunt.
Yeah, and Gav and I were both like, "It's Kurnoth and Morgan! It's Kurnoth and Morgan!"
Yeah. if you the legend is if you lock eyes with Kurnoth when he's on his wild hunt, you either get dragged along and become a fae and join the hunt, or you're the prey. That's why Elias hides.
And he's like,
"No,
nope.
want to fuck with the Morgan?
No, dear God, no.
Tell you all about it. No, wait, he can't. He's dead."
But like for me, I was like, "Oh, cool, that is actually a legend." But also at the same time, again, going what we said at the beginning of the show, me and Eric, well, all three of us are Warhammer players. The Wood Elves have that exact, have a character based on that exact legend.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that's what I mean. Those sort of legends, those sort of mythologies, like any number of shows. Hell, Marvel, Thor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It doesn't borrow as much from the mythology as he might, but...
Well, the thing is, Thor is smart and blonde as opposed to an idiot and a redhead.
Yeah, but this is what I mean. It's like that sort of stuff has been to the point is where you almost feel like some people just say, "Oh, that's what happened," because they don't look into it. Others say, "Oh, it's just mythology," and there's those in the middle say, "I'm not actually sure which way it goes."
But yeah, the big thing is that for a lot of the sort of bigger sort of the fantasies that are not based in the mythology we're aware of. Sometimes it's based on just mythology we don't know that well. But like a lot of Japanese manga and anime draw very heavily on Eastern mythology, which I don't know as well as I know Celtic, Norse, Greek, Egyptian. And whereas they start drawing on they'll start drawing Japanese stuff, Chinese stuff, all the way over to India. I know a little bit about
my Indian mythology is better than my Japanese and Chinese mythology. Yeah. That is damning with the faintest of praise.
Yeah, but there's also stuff that they've just made up from whole cloth, and there is that sort of fantasy, the stuff that's made from whole cloth. I mean, it does obviously there's stuff that will draw on existing mythology, just because it's hard not to. It's hard to make something completely new,
even by accident.
Even by
like the old trope the Simpsons did. Of course they did. They've been on the air for nearly 30 years.
That's where I'm going. But the big thing is like part of the reason that like someone like you can draw on, you can say that, hey, this thing is referencing Tolkien, is because Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and The Silmarillion have been around for since the 30s, since the 40s basically. So creeping on 80 years now.
And they also pretty much just set the stage for they pretty much redefined the entirety of fantasy.
Right. But they become part of popular culture.
Fiction is exponential.
Yes.
One idea spawns 8 others. Yep. Those 8 ideas spawn 8 more.
Yep. But my point is, though, is that given enough time, if something, if we had like if there's a from whole cloth fantasy manga / anime series that became popular and stuck in actually got lodged into popular culture, given another 40 years and stuff that spins off of that will be instantly recognizable, and people will be able to hook into it more easily.
Yep.
But I mean, look at things like Dragon Ball, which is basically Journey to the West.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, exactly.
I mean, even Tolkien was a smattering of Celtic and Nordic myths.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
Jammed together.
Yes, absolutely.
But back to the show at hand.
Yes. But no, this is all sort of going back to This is not doing that. It's not connecting to Tolkien or anything. It's going back to the even older source that is really wired into Western popular culture.
I was really impressed how deep into this mangaka, this writer, has looked into the actual mythology and
they did their research.
It's like, okay, there's another character that lives with Elias, Chise, and Ruth called Silky. And for the longest time, we couldn't figure out what she was. Because it's clear she wasn't quite human, but she never spoke. And that led us all to think, well, if she's not speaking, is there a reason for that? And literally, the episode where they explained it all clicked. And it was like, yeah, of course she is.
I'm going to be honest, I had never heard that myth. And which usually I have at least some barest inkling when someone's dealing with any kind of Eurocentric mythology.
Mm-hmm.
And I had never heard that. And I was like, really? And later that night, after we finished watching for the evening, I went and looked it up. I was like, oh, wow, that's a really obscure thing. Good job.
Yeah. So her name is Silky, and she acts as a housemaid. Okay. Now, Silky is the lesser known of three variants. You'll have heard of the other two: the brownie, i.e., the house elf, and the banshee. So, a brownie is an elf that does she's a housekeeper.
Yeah,
she looks after the house and the family. But if she loses that home, if she loses the family, or has thing, and as we find out in her backstory, she did. Brownies are known to become banshees, and that you'll hear them wailing for their lost family, their lost home, and that's the actual mythology of the banshee, not a spin-off of the siren mythology, which is what a lot tend to do with them. But if a banshee is I won't say saved is the right word. It's basically repurposed and given a new repurposed, given a new purpose, given a new family, a new home to look after. Then they become silkies. They can't become a brownie anymore. They move on to the next stage. They become silkies, which is why she's called Silky in the first place, which I'd never heard of. And apparently, silkies are like brownies on speed.
Yeah,
they don't just look after, but they will absolutely make sure that place and that family is absolutely 100% in spotless condition as best as they can. She's basically housemaid and butler all rolled into one.
I think the character's name is actually Silver.
Yes. It mixes. They do call her Silky every now and again.
Chise calls her Silky. Elias calls her Silver.
Yeah.
Because Silver is the name she is given by Spriggan.
Yes.
And
I remember that.
Being another Fae, that's what Elias calls her. Chise is introduced to her as gets introduced to her as Silky. I don't remember exactly how that happened, but it did. And that's what Chise calls her because that's what she is. And Silky's fine. Silky Silver doesn't care. She's immensely attached to the family.
Yeah,
which is
anyone that lives
Elias,
in the house.
Chise, and Ruth.
Yep.
There's one part where they leave the house for a while, and it's implied it's months.
Yep.
And Silky is left in the house by herself, and we see her going around, still cleaning, still keeping everything spotless, keeping to herself otherwise, redecorating the entire house with magic.
Largely out of boredom.
Yes.
Largely out of boredom, yeah, just a complete new look.
And a bit of sadness too. She is pining for the family to come back.
And when they come back, they'll say, "Oh, hi, Silky. I'm sorry we were away a little bit longer than we thought." And she's not upset. She's not angry at them for going away without saying how long it's going to be. She just charges at them and hugs them.
Yep.
Because the family's back.
Yep.
And that is straight out of the mythology.
Yep.
The level of detail this mangaka went to,
oh my God.
Well, it's also things like the pattern on the fucking train they ride sometimes on the seats. I'm like, I'm pretty sure they have that pattern in London because we had that pattern on the seats in the T here in Boston.
Oh yeah, even
I think they use the same person, the same supplier.
even the villages and the look of the villages, the look of the towns and the cities, they're all accurate. And that was one thing. Like episode 3, Peter's like, Gavin, is this accurate? I'm like, yes, it is. I know.
I thought it was, but I wanted to double check.
It's like there's one bit where they go to a local village and it's like, I know that village. That is the only street in that village. There's a pub, a post office, maybe a small supermarket, a restaurant, and nothing else.
Houses,
just
and
houses
farms
spread around. Yeah,
and and the shots of London that they have, they look like London.
Yeah.
Whoever, like I said, the writer of this series has done their homework.
They did, absolutely. So, in addition to our family here, and the various Fae we meet, like Titania and Oberon, on Spriggan, and we don't really...
And the two changelings.
The two changelings, yes. We also have... and also Angelica, who's, she is Elias's... She's basically the closest thing Elias has to a friend.
And she's the local she's the artificer he goes to when he needs something made.
Yes. And she immediately takes a very protective feeling towards Chisei, because she finds out what Elias has done. She's like, oh God, she's a slave. Okay, Elias, do you know what you're doing? Yes. Do you know what you're doing? I am fairly certain I know what I'm doing. Oh God.
You have no idea what you're doing. Shit.
It's more of a case of
he thinks he knows what he's doing, which doesn't mean he actually does. Oh dear.
Well, I mean, the first time that he brings her around, it's like she doesn't know she's a slave egg. He's like, right. What are you doing with this girl? Why have you bought this girl? And she hands her like this magical implement or something, not realizing
it was a crystal. It's like just put some power through it, see what happens.
Because she's told Elias told that Chisei is his apprentice.
Yeah.
She knows that much at this point. And then that's when she finds out what Chisei is, and she's like, "Oh, Elias, why did you not tell me?"
Yeah, she basically asks her to, it's like she's like say putting putting a power through a crystal. That is the equivalent of asking you to water the flowers with the fire hose.
But yeah, Angelica's great. But there are 3 other very important characters. Technically 4, actually. I'm leaving out what's her name?
Simon the priest.
Oh, 5 actually. Damn it, I forgot Simon. Simon the priest, who is
Lyndall the.
Oh my God! How did I forget Lyndall? Oh my God!
How did you forget about Lyndall? He's great.
He's one of the best characters in the show. I was moving towards.
He's the 3rd most important wizard in the whole show.
I know. I was moving on towards the antagonists, but.
Oh right.
You see, it's that D&D bias. You instantly phase the bard out of your mind.
No, it's more that I was just like, oh, we need to talk about the antagonists, and we hadn't finished talking about all the protagonists and their friends. Yes, Lyndall Lindenbaum is Elias's teacher. As a he's magical teacher. He's the one who taught him to be a mage. He is very clearly of Norse descent. We first meet him as the guardian of the land of the dragons. Before that, he basically wandered the north at the head of reindeer herds.
Yep.
Also, he has slit pupil eyes. He's got cat's eyes, as near as I can tell.
Yeah, and he dresses like very much like a traditional Laplander, which I thought was really cool.
Yep. Though he is very much not, because he is very blonde.
Yeah, because he's very, very blonde.
But so he is really, really cool. His magic is done via song. Hence Gav's point about the bard thing. He's a skald. He's Norse, therefore he's a skald. And he's a really interesting character, and he's ancient and he's one of the kindest characters in the show.
Yes. He probably has the biggest heart.
Yeah. And that's actually saying something.
It's saying a lot. He's probably got the biggest heart. He's definitely the most empathetic.
Yep.
Like if you're hurting, he is hurting right there next to you. Like he's kind of awesome.
Yep.
We also have what were the two sorcerers' names?
That's what those are the Manfred. It's Michael and Alice. Renfred and Alice.
Renfred and Alice, right?
Renfred is Alice is Renfred's bodyguard and apprentice. They are sorcerers, which is a slightly different style of magic than magicians. Sorcerers can't see and sense spirits.
But they approach magic much more like a traditional D&D wizard will.
Yes.
It's a lot of science and formula and reactions and whatnot.
Alice is very much Chisei as a sorceress, honestly.
Yeah.
Down to they both have these tragic backstories, were taken in by an older mage, and have been taught, how to learn magic from them.
The rough gist of it is a mage will bargain with the Fae to direct magic, whereas the sorcerers use magic.
Yes.
Yeah, a mage will use the Fae as an intermediary. A sorcerer deals directly with the magic.
Yep. Mages live a lot longer.
Yeah, mages live longer, and they have more of a positive outlook. So, shall we say, it's on magic itself. Magic is to them, magic is just a way of life, not a tool.
Right. The big thing is Renfred and Alice start out as antagonists and very quickly become allies.
Yes.
Renfred and Elias know each other and are not fond of each other, but you could definitely there is respect there. Alice becomes one of Chisei's best friends.
Yeah, Alice becomes one of Chisei's few friends outside of the house.
Yeah, because Alice is goddamn awesome. Also, again, they are very similar people in a lot of ways.
They've got Alice is a lot harder than Chisei.
Yes,
but Chisei's got more emotional intelligence, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
Yeah, the thing with it is Chisei took her situation and closed off. Like she pulled, but she shrank back. Whereas Alice basically threw up every wall that she could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She met.
They both retreated in very different ways.
Yes.
Yeah. Alice's backstory is basically as tragic as Chisei's.
We're not going to get into it.
We're not going to get into it.
She's had a hard life.
It is literally they both have had massive tragedy and terrible loss in their childhood, and both of them were pulled out of it by their teacher, basically. Alice is great. She's a really cool character. But the two major antagonists of the show are Cartphilius and Ashenai.
Yeah.
Ashenai is
Our guess is that he's a djinn. We're not entirely certain, but he acts like a djinn, and Chisei remarks he smells of sand.
But he's ancient. He is ancient. Powerful, and very much a meddler.
Yeah.
And does stuff because he's very fey in a lot of ways also. Not that the djinn aren't.
He likes to fuck with people for the sake of fucking with them.
Yeah. He does it because he wants to see he's bored and old. And powerful. Cartphilius is he's one of the biblical characters we mentioned.
Cartphilius he's occasionally referred to as a sorcerer, occasionally referred to as a mage. He looks like a boy somewhere between 8 and 12. Dresses like he's going to boarding school. Has a talent for creating chimera. Horrible chimera stitched together out of whatever people he had lying around.
Well, people and animals and things he's got lying around.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the way,
he's Cartphilius. So
he's Cartphilius. If you don't know who that is, he is a biblical figure. He is the wandering Jew.
Yeah.
The Jew who threw the stone at Jesus and was cursed to live forever.
Not that even Carphilius remembers this because,
it's been two
2,000
millennia
years.
But like, it's literally God's punishment. It's like you threw a stone at Jesus on his way to the cross. You now will walk the earth until the second coming.
Or so the biblical story goes.
Yeah. Oh, yes. By the way, there's no caveat on the old aging process.
Yeah.
Nope.
So we find out that we find out through a series of magical shenanigans and flashbacks that Carphilius, one of the reasons he got so good at making chimera is that his body is in fact one. He keeps on replacing bits of it that falls off with other people's. Because, well, he's constantly aging and things decay at different rates, so he needs to replace them.
Yeah, there's there's a lot of suffering and tragedy in his life, and it's not just Carphilius, it's also Joseph, the young boy he looks like, and that's a whole another mess that we're not going to get into because it's really important to the story. You should watch it.
Yeah. So yeah, we find out just how much Carphilius's life sucks. This is not an excuse for the shitty pools.
No.
He is still a fucking monster. That is
in fact the entire fucking point of his story.
It's the fundamental point of the show. It's basically like the issue is like
suffering does not excuse bad behavior.
Yeah, it's like Chise, Alice, even Elias to a degree. It's literally your origins do not equate your worth, your suffering, and how you deal with it.
Yep.
And like it comes down to where, like, yeah. And again, it's the whole climax of the show, so I don't want to spoil too much. But it comes down to Chise finding her own self-worth, and Joseph / Carphilius basically, Chise's own words to him is like, what? So because you're hurting, everyone else has to too? Fuck you. Like, he gets to be an asshole because he's in pain. No.
It should be noted that it's very much implied, though never outright stated, that Elias is suffering a lot also.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he is constantly referred to as half-baked and half-born by people around him, and not in a teasing way.
No.
Well, he's in a... Yeah, this is the thing. Like, Spriggan, a number of times, like, Titania and... Oberon, quite often, like their whole shtick is they want him to go and live in the Feywild. It's implied that the Feywild has an effect on people anyway, and if he does that, sooner or later he'll become 100% Fey, and so will anyone he brings with him, because that's what happens. But he's chosen to live in the human world, and because really he doesn't really belong in either. He doesn't know where he came from. He doesn't know what he is to all intents. He just gets these backhanded comments and somehow sometimes downright insults from the Feywild. Even like literally, Oberon, King of the Fey, invites him to the Feywild. Spriggan, don't you fucking dare accept that invitation.
Yeah,
you are not coming into my world. Like, superseding the king, because the Fey, of course they do.
Well, Oberon and Tatiana are very much, they're king and queen, but they are exceedingly flighty.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And Spriggan takes his shit seriously.
Yeah. But, like, he doesn't belong in either world, and, like, one world doesn't understand him, the other world won't accept him. Well, no, actually, it's the other way around. It's a bit of both, really, because he doesn't understand either world either, and the other worlds don't understand him. He doesn't have a place other than in that little house.
And it's implied that he'd been suffering without realizing it until Chise comes along and shows him, how does he refer to her? She's the only person that neither pities nor mocks me.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
She looks at him and accepts him for who he is, not who he could be or what he isn't,
or what he might represent.
Right.
And she sees all sides of him. She sees him freak out and go bestial. She sees him, sulking and literally disappearing into his room for days, acting like a complete child. And also is most heroic when he shows up and or to defend her or whatever else.
Yep, and the thing is that she treats him like a person, which he's not used to. Almost everyone treats him either as something less than them or as a monster. Exactly one other person is treated, two other people really, but we only see brief moments of the other one. We see brief moments of Lyndall's teacher, Rahab. By the way, that's the other biblical character. Look it up. She's kind of cool though in the show, but she's not there very much. Lyndall is literally, it's Lyndall and Cheesehair, the two people, two humans who have treated him, who look at him and treat him as a person. Lyndall he scares Lyndall, but Lyndall is so empathetic that he gets that would the fact that he's scared of Elias. Elias is just as Elias, that his existence scares Lyndall. He knows that actually hurts Elias, so he doesn't show it, and he treats Elias as a person. And also, Lyndall sees him as a person also, because again, he's that empathetic.
Yeah, Lyndall sees him as a person. He's obviously got the magical knowledge to be wary of what he might be, or might become. But yeah, he's like Elias always refers to him as the old, the grumpy old man, or the interfering old man, because he's the one who trained him. And Elias calls him a kid. Lyndall calls him a kid in return, and he's quite kind of right, but he's also wary that he's potentially this kid with immense power. But it's as close as you can get. It's as close as Elias has got to a father figure.
Oh yeah, no. Oh, he very much is Elias' father figure. Oberon and Titania go about, Titania's like, you're my child. No.
At worst, you're the older siblings that are a terrible influence.
Yes.
At best, you're the oldest siblings that are a terrible influence.
But even the ones that are aware of him, like the Reverend and Renfred and all the rest of them, they don't treat him as a monster, but they treat him as a mage.
Yes, not as a person. Yep.
And not as a person. It's like it's like you are as a I only visit you because, like, I think the preacher basically only visits him because the church have said, we know there's a mage living in the area.
He's assigned to watch Ellis. He's assigned to watch Ellis. He's taken something of it's very clear Simon and Ellis' relationship has moved beyond I am your watcher and your keeper for the church to neither would say that they like or respect the other, but they very clearly do.
Yeah.
See, no, he is not my friend. Nope, not at all. Nope. Here's some lozenges to cure your cough, Simon. And some, and some hibiscus tea to help your throat. I'm not doing this because I want to help you. Nope, not at all. Shut up. And Redfred and Elias are rivals initially, but as I said, they become allies, and they very much develop a very, very healthy respect for one another. I don't think they'll ever be friends, but they're not enemies. And again, as Elias is developing more humanity, he starts being able to see the other, the fact that people have more than one thought about him. I think a large part of it is Elias is realizing that, yes, Renfred, fears me and considers me a rival and all this stuff, but he also respects me and doesn't think about him not a person.
Yeah, this is the thing. At the start of the show, that line, that sentence you just said there, it would have ended with Renfred fears me and knows I'm powerful.
Yes.
Yeah.
By the end of the show, we get, but he gets the but added onto all of his thoughts, basically.
Yeah.
That's the point of Elias. By the end of the show, he's learned that, nothing's one-dimensional.
Yes. He has learned nuance and feeling, and what feelings are. It's like, these things that these sensations I'm having, these are emotions. I see.
Starting to understand what they mean. Okay.
All right, I'm going to try and analyze them. This doesn't work. No, it's not supposed to work, Elias. God damn it. I want to be analytical about this.
Yeah.
I know how to handle being analytical.
I'm trying to analyze my feelings. That is why you fail.
I mean, you can, but I mean, you can.
Yeah, then you get to charge people a lot of money to talk to them for an hour.
Yes, he is not a licensed psychiatrist, no. And probably shouldn't be.
No.
Again,
terrible advice.
Maybe not. But again, like watching the family develop is also one of the show's like, and seeing as Chisei realizes that she goes from this is a place where I've been told I can belong, which is a first for me, as far as my memory has, and I will cherish that until I'm thrown out because I know that eventually I will be because that always happens. To, Elias is not going to throw me out. To, I don't want to be thrown out. I really don't.
Yeah.
Like, I want to live and be here. This is where I want to be. This is where I belong. To, oh my God, Elias, you goddamn idiot.
To be fair, there's a fair amount of, oh my God, Elias, you goddamn idiot in all those stages.
True. But the one I'm
and there's a lot of, oh my God, Chisei, just stop poking the fire.
Yeah. Chisei has a bad habit. Well, again, she's not convinced of her own self-worth, so she just does stuff. No, it's like, yeah, that could hurt you, and that doesn't matter.
Fire is hot, Chisei. I'm sorry. I wanted to see how hot it was.
It's not so much just like curiosity. It's a case of yes, I'm aware that it's hot, but it's just
my hand.
It's just my hand, and the thing that other people need is over there through the fire. But Chisei, you'll get hurt, and what I don't matter. The thing that does. It's like no, Chisei, you do matter. Chisei, stop that!
Friggin' shadow demon of skulls and thorns take care of it.
I mean, this is the thing that like they have this argument towards the end. Does Chisei and Cartaphilus, and literally the gist of it is Chisei gets pissed and like shouting at him for his reasons, like, you're in pain, so you get to help everyone. You get to hurt everyone else. And his answer is, so you've had a bit of a tragic, so you get to sacrifice yourself for everyone else. You think sacrificing yourself gives you worth, and you're going to make some grand gesture.
The thing I love about that bit is they are both completely right. Cartaphilius says, "You think that makes you not you better than me or anything." She's like, "No, I don't. We are the same, you dumbass." Which is why I can tell you this shit. We're both fuck ups, but I'm learning and you're not. Which I goddamn adore. So yes, what Chisei is doing is fundamentally unhealthy, but she becomes aware of that. What Cartaphilius is doing, it goes beyond unhealthy, and he doesn't care. Which is why he's a goddamn monster. And that's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point of the show, and it's really well done on that.
I'd like to point out that we've been talking over and over again about the themes and characters in this show, and not once touched on the plot.
Yes, which is the point.
So, which is awesome.
Yes,
and it tells you a lot about how deep these characters and themes are.
Yes,
and how well they run. So, that's another reason to go watch the show.
Yes.
I mean, this is deliberate. This is our intent. We want to talk about this show without just giving everything away. This is a conscious effort now we're going to try and make going forward.
We've been working on this as we've been going, and we've been getting better at it. I like to think. But yeah, long story short, yeah. So that's. I mean, I think we've touched on basically all the major themes and characters at this point.
I think we have at this point. Like, just.
But there are a couple of things we should talk about.
For another 3 hours on Chisei and Alias.
Oh God,
we could.
Yeah. But we should talk a little bit about first off the visuals, because holy cow, the visuals.
Yeah, there is a sequence when Chisei finally gets her wand.
Yes. Holy cow.
Holy shit.
So the whole show is fucking gorgeous with amazing character designs. Even the most mundane background character is interesting.
There are some of the spirits that show up just are like
I still can't find that one in the forest. I still cannot find what that is. I know I recognized it, but I can't remember what it was.
But there are like these woolly bug things that are like the crossbreeding of some sort of insect, flying insect, and a sheep that are goddamn adorable.
Yes.
There's this one
like the axolotl.
The axolotl spirit is one of the most adorable things I've ever seen.
And it's sort of like that sort of ends up in like this sort of big lazy cat position in the house, because you just regularly see Chisei like cuddling it or just wandering around batting.
It will sort of wander, like Chisei will be sitting down like talking to Elias on this. She'll be sitting on the sofa. It'll come sort of lurching up over the back of the sofa and slide down into her lap, and she'll sit and just sort of curl up like a cat on her lap as she sits there absolutely petting it. It's adorable. But like there's that, and but there are all these fascinating bits of character design, but like, and the animation and the environments. And when Eric said at the beginning of the show, this is like the writing, and I agree with him, reminds him of Neil Gaiman at his best. Like
yes.
It's some of it has that feel. Like I'm not sure it's like, but the visuals and the art and the animation is really Ghibli-esque.
Yes.
Like it. Holy cow.
I have no idea how much CG was used in the show. It might be none. It might be a lot. I can't tell.
There's definitely CG in the show. There are a couple of shots where you can see it briefly.
Yeah,
but like it's not. It does not stand out. Studio Wit did an incredible fucking job with this show.
Like they do everything.
Are gorgeous.
They do everything
with this watercolor quality toward them.
Mm-hmm.
The character movements that like. I'm not. They must have cut corners somewhere, but I can't see where. Like, yeah,
it's like they take everything that's difficult in animation, like fire, water, the mass of energy and power, all that sort of stuff, and just pull it off. Like the number of times that Chisei falls into water, you get the feeling it's like them just going, "See what we can do. Look, we'll do it again."
If it wasn't for this is an adaptation of a manga, I totally would believe that.
Fur. Everyone's
yeah.
got fucking fur on them or hair, and it's just really well done.
Just the way they animate hands.
Yes.
Yep.
Everyone's walk cycles is distinct.
Yes.
Yep.
Like that in itself is kind of.
Every character is distinct.
Really?
Every single character is distinct.
Yeah, you will. Yeah. You will never. If you know who the characters, who the characters are, every character will pass the silhouette test.
Yep.
You can identify every character by their silhouette, like instantly.
And I'm normally really bad with like, who was that guy again? No, I know who that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not to say they have like a limited wardrobe, as you'll often see. Chisei changes outfits all the time. Alice changes outfits all the time. Runfred, well, you're never going to see Runfred without that fucking trench coat, but it's kind of his shtick.
Yeah.
Like the only characters whose outfits don't change are the Fae.
Yeah.
And
well, even then, Elias.
I was factoring Elias into the Fae.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Elias does have a couple of looks, but obviously he's fairly easy to spot with the fucking skull face.
Yeah, with the friggin' horned dog skull.
Yeah. But he you see him in his magely robes all the time. But then quite often, like, walking around the house, he'll take off the robes and he's just in a shirt. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
He's always got that like dress shirt, slacks, and vest thing going on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like I say, and even as we mentioned earlier, we touched on it earlier, the accuracy of the backgrounds and the setting. Oh. This isn't seriously. This is not some like Japanese artists' idea of what England, the English countryside is. This has been done with research.
Yeah.
Whether they visited or not, or whether they just looked at a whole lot of reference material, they've done the homework.
Yeah.
I'm convinced they either went themselves or they interviewed people who had spent time in England. Like, what does this place feel like? Okay, cool. Does this look like how it feels? Yes, awesome. No, okay, give me notes.
Yeah, and one last bit about this to drive home the point about the visuals on this. This is not a movie. This is not a 12-episode series. This is a full 24 episodes with this level of art and art direction, animation, and sort of direction. Like the shot composition on those shows, incredible also.
Yeah.
How the fuck Studio Wit pulled this off, I do not know, but fucking kudos.
Yeah. I mean, either they had nothing else on the slate at the time in the studio, and they could just, dedicate everyone to this. I don't know, but fucking well done, absolutely well done.
But yeah. Massive credit to the director, Norihiro Naganuma. There we go.
Easy for you to say.
I'm not even going to try to pronounce
it. Serious credits to Naganuma. He did a phenomenal job with the direction of the show. And Junichi Matsumoto was the person behind the music of the show. And aside from the second opening theme, the music is incredible.
I mean, honestly, there's nothing wrong with
the second opening theme is merely good.
Yeah, it's just good. It's just not as great as the first one.
It's like show's incredible. It's amazing. Like legitimately, I was blown away.
I don't know why this show doesn't get talked about more.
Seasonal anime.
I guess so.
There's just always new stuff coming out to talk about, is what it boils down to.
When did this come out?
I want to say 2012. No, sorry, 2017.
I was going to say it's definitely not that old.
Yeah, 2017. So the OVA was 2016, and the series was 2017.
This show deserves to be up in the classics pile.
Yeah, I think it is.
So
legit.
Just to give it, so this came out, if I'm looking at the right one here, around the same time as Black Clover, Shokugeki no Soma, one of them, Kekai Sensen, Beyond. Actually, no, I think this is the wrong. I think this is the season before.
I think it's winter 2017 is when it debuted.
Winter. I'm looking at
winter
fall,
2017. If I remember correctly, was a really good season.
Winter 2017. Okay, season 2 of Konosuba, Dragon Maid, Yujo Senki.
Yep.
As in Tanya.
Tanya the Evil. Yep.
Yeah. Little Witch Academia.
The TV series of that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was a really good
season there.
Gintama season. Tales of Zestria.
Handshakers.
Handshakers.
Something that is so bad that it is noteworthy.
Yeah.
I mean, people talked about Handshakers more than this because it was terrible, but.
Yeah, I can't see anything further down the list that should take away from this. But yeah, it was there was at least
Agretsuko.
Agretsuko was in this season. Yeah,
it's Agretsuko.
Agretsuko, the one about the red panda singing metal.
Oh yes,
Agretsuko.
There was a new season of Shippuden, new season of One Piece, Dragon Ball Super. There was a season of Detective Conan. Iron Blooded Orphan season 2. Oh, it was the same season as All Out.
Well. But long story short.
Long story short, it was lost in the mix, I believe.
Well, it's not just the lost mix. I remember when it came out, everybody talked about it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It got that level of recognition when it came out. It's just sort of faded into the background because there's been so much great stuff after that too.
Because that's the thing. Because as soon as that season ends, you're now hyping what's coming next.
Yeah, that's what I meant by the seasonal anime thing. Like, because after that we're getting to 2018, which is when we get Mob Psycho, One Punch, like all the Mob Psycho, Bunny Girl Senpai. Like, there's a ton of such. Like, it just keeps like. Anime's been on such a roll since, in the later half of the 2010s, since then, that, like, you can lose things that are classics in there with, like, Made in Abyss came out at some point in there, like,
Just to say, what the shows that came out in, what would it have been? Spring... It'd have been Spring 17, wouldn't... No, hang on. How did the seasons go?
That's what I think it's actually what I'm thinking of is it should have been fall 2017 is what I'm thinking of actually.
Yeah, so Hang on, let me do this.
But but it's not that. That's not the important. Like fall 2017 is this. So
yes. So the following season, then, Darling in the Franxx, that was hyped to hell.
So winter 2018. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one where what's it called? I forgot the English name. Sorry, Motoid Basho. The 4 girls that go to Antarctica.
No Place Far from the Universe. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was huge.
Grand Crest. Okay. A new season of Fate.
Anyways, back to the subject at hand.
The point is,
But yeah,
as
I said, like, this happens to almost everything. Like, people forgot about Mob Psycho after it came out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, are people talking about Mob Psycho except us? Like, whenever we talk about great animation, we go, yeah, Mob Psycho's amazing. Go watch it.
Everyone was on
because we have our hobby horses.
Everyone was now on Demon Slayer.
Yep.
Which is good. It's not Mob Psycho.
It's not Mob Psycho.
Like, not in terms of writing or animation. Like I will say,
it was good. I enjoyed it, but yeah, Mob Psycho.
It does tend to happen to a lot of anime. I mean, we've been saying this since all the way back down episode 2. Mm-hmm. No, 3. That was my first show.
Yep.
When I did Nadesco.
Yep.
Nadesco got lost in that mix of like some of the biggest fucking anime in history.
Yeah.
It happens. Yeah, anyone who's watched it is like, oh shit, this is good.
It happens. So, But yeah, that's I guess we'll go into our final thoughts. So Gav, then me, then Eric. We'll wrap things up because we should probably wrap things up.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's a glowing review. It's as I say, normally I've got at least one little gripe or one little thing that threw me off. Doesn't exist in this show. Like the characters are all, like I say, distinct, well written. You know who they are. They're not just them as like you say, they pass the silhouette test, but they also pass the character test as well. They are separate individual people. Alice is not an extension of Renford.
Right.
She's an apprentice. She is her own distinct character. She doesn't just hang around with him. She is her own character in her own right. Even Silky, not a single line in the show. She has a voice actress, by the way.
She has a couple of lines. She has a couple of lines. She has, I think, 3 total in the series.
I think she has 3 words. 2 of which are stare.
No, she has a very, very brief thing she says to Spriggan during her flashback, and she says something to Elias at one point, if I remember correctly, late in the series.
Most of her dialogue is
yes,
little things like that. She, like you say, while she's a banshee, she has a couple of not lines, but like wails and various things. But even the point is, she's a silent character for the most part, but she's a character.
Yeah.
You get so much out of her. The way that she's presented, the way that she acts, the direction on her is amazing. You get so much out of her, and not a line said. The animation, again, fucking yes. If every show could be half this good,
yeah.
I'll let Eric speak on that because he's far more qualified than me. But yeah. And as Peter said, the music, it's good. It's well placed. It's probably not the sort of thing that I would download the soundtrack.
No,
but it's perfect for this show.
Yep,
it is absolutely perfect. Other than that, yeah, just go watch it. Stop listening. Why are you still listening to this? go watch the show.
No,
now.
Please keep listening and then go watch the show.
Oh yeah, go on. It's not got long. We've not got long to go.
All right, so yeah, wow, this show's incredible. My only potential niggle, literally only potential niggle, is part and parcel with the type of story it's telling because it's a fairy tale. Because it is a fucking fairy tale in that sense of spelled Faerie. It's a tale about the fairies. which means there's some dark stuff that goes on. And one of the sort of things that has a tinge of darkness to it is that relationship between Chisei and Elias. The whole he bought her to be his bride thing is one of those things that is potentially is skeevy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't come off that way, and not because they're sugarcoating it, but because of what Elias is and how their relationship evolves.
There's no lecherous behavior in this. We don't even know if Elias is equipped, shall we say.
But like, that's irrelevant, though.
Yeah.
But my point...
To be fair, Angelica calls him on it at every opportunity.
Oh, yeah, there is definitively that helps a lot.
Oh, it's lampshaded, yeah, definitely.
But also, like, the big thing about it is this is part and parcel with stories about the Fae. Like,
yeah.
It is supposed to be something of a cautionary tale. There's a moral to the story, and that's, sort of part of it. Also, dear Lord, Chisei, it would come across as less like if Chisei was, 21. Again, as we said, if you had 5 years, all the characters' ages, the show feels a lot less. There's a lot of things in the show that actually click better, in my opinion, honestly. But that's from from a very Western liberal point of view. That's why I feel that way. But that's like literally my only actual complaint about the show.
Honestly, I find most anime can benefit from adding 5 years.
I would agree with you on that point, wholeheartedly. Like about the only one I don't instinctively say that about is for the vast majority of the cast is Black Lagoon, and there are 2 characters in the show that desperately need that those 5 years added to them. And honestly, the show
to be fair, they're supposed to really fuck you up.
I know, but at any rate, but yeah, this show it's incredible. It's legitimately incredible. It is not my favorite show we've covered, but it is way high on my list. Go watch it. It's that damn good. Eric, bring it home. It's your choice.
So this show is beautiful in every way you can apply that word to it. It's visually stunning. It's gorgeously directed. The show had physical actors. I have nothing but props to those actors. The voice acting is great. I have no idea what the dub is like. I don't even know if it has a dub.
It does.
I don't envy those dub guys. Those dub actors.
It was actually one of the. It was actually done by a simuldub by Funimation.
Okay. So much of the show feels like an old Grimm's fairy tale or a series of them, with just the same characters going through as an anchor point, and that's very much a point in its favor. I love this show. This show's great. Fucking Gav beat me to talking about Silky. Because I was going to hold her up as an example of like the degree of character animation. Silky intimately by the end of the show, as well as anyone else. She doesn't have a fucking word of dialogue. Except for the occasional stare and maybe a couple other places.
There's one thing about that sums Silky up, absolutely, and as a character moment. It's not even the one we've already mentioned. Towards the end of the show, or like literally at the end of the show, there's a scene where basically Chisei gets injured, and the whole ending scene is Chisei wakes up in bed. Elias is there next to her, and they start arguing because of her putting her life at risk, and just it's a full on lovers' row sort of thing. Silky realizes obviously they're awake, slams the door open. They stop for a second, look at her, and mid argument she's fuck that shit and just hugs Chisei.
Yep.
Dives on her and hugs her, and it's like.
Because she's happy. Okay. Chisei's okay. And
she also throws Elias
for a minute, and they sort of come to the agreement, we'll have this out later.
She has a look she throws at Elias very briefly also.
Yes. And again, it's like just that sums it up. Not a word is spoken, but you get everything out of her.
Yep.
And yeah, Silky was going to be my example for character animation. And her, like I said, her intimately, and she says literally like 3 words throughout the end, all 24 episodes.
Yep.
And everyone in the show is like that. Even like fucking Morgan. The Morgan shows up once riding on Kronos' back. And I know her better than like someone from fucking random middling shonen show here.
Yeah, if we're able to identify Morgan and Keranos that fast.
Yes.
Just, we know exactly who they are. It's like, it's the Wild Hunt. It's Keranos. Okay.
And the show's filled with stuff like that. Like, I can't recommend the show enough. Go watch it.
Yeah.
It is safe to now turn off your podcast and or YouTube video or whatever and watch this fucking show. Do it now. I command you.
Well, I mean,
Why are you still listening? Go!
Let us wrap the thing up. We've got like maybe a minute or so left. So yeah, that's it. That's it for the show, guys. And after we finish, go watch the Ancient Magus Bride if you haven't already. And if you have watched it, you maybe watch it a second time or a third. I don't know. It's good. It's really good. But thank you everybody for listening. We hope you enjoyed the podcast. I hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back in, I don't know how long. Depends on how long. I forget how long the show Gav chose is.
I will just mention I might be changing my mind. I'm not sure yet.
Okay, well, we'll not announce what we're doing next because Gav had a choice, but he might be flip-flopping. That's fine. It is entirely Gav's prerogative to do so before Saturday.
Yeah, honestly, I've had a look at a couple of clips from the show that I was intending, and it's like, I'm not trying to avoid a potentially bad show, but it doesn't look as interesting as I thought it was. But we'll see. We'll see.
All right. But so in that case, we're not. I have no idea how long it's going to be. So it'll be somewhere between 2 weeks to a month, probably. That's it, though, guys. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed. If you're watching us on YouTube, like, share, subscribe. You know the usual deal. Comment. Feed the algorithm. Feed the algorithm.
Weird.
And we'll see you guys next time. Take care, everybody. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.